I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by the amazing, the wonderful Andy Scott, composer of MANCUNITY, the music and indeed the premiere of the film that we're about to watch tonight. Andy, welcome along to the final night of this year's Manchester Jazz Festival, number 25. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for inviting me, and congratulations to you as well. I remember the first jazz festival all those years ago, and I just think it's so good that something is online this year to celebrate those 25 years. And just privileged to be a part of it. So thank you.
Oh, it's brilliant to have you part of it, Andy. It's great. I mean, also amazing to see the musicians I've tracked over those 25 years and still so many amazing players with us making amazing music, which is what it's all about, really.
Yeah.
And we're here to, well, let's share with everyone. We're here to watch this premiere. But this was a piece from last year's festival, wasn't it? It was a special commission, the MGF Originals Commission from last year, 2019. And it's called MANCUNITY with a reason, I think, Andy. And you had a special kind of sense of spirit behind you, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I moved to Manchester in 1985, and before that, my parents were from Manchester, Manchester and Liverpool, actually. They were both Northwest based. My dad took a job down in Bournemouth years and years ago as a music teacher. And and when I was 18 or 19, I moved back up to Manchester to study at the Royal Northern College of Music. I mean, this is like a lifetime ago now, but I've been in the Northwest ever since. I'm currently living in Sandbach in Cheshire, but I'm in Manchester every week. And there's just something so special about the place. And when I was talking to the Jazz Festival and I was approached to write this piece, I just thought, right, I'm going to try and get a group of musicians together who are all brilliant, because there are so many good musicians in Greater Manchester. And it was whittling it down to 12 for this particular project. You know, loads of people could have done it. But then, thinking about the city itself and some of the kind of memories of it and some of the iconic places in Manchester. For example, very briefly, St Anne's Church. I've got an old concert programme at home from 1933, and that's my grandma, and she gave a solo piano recital there. And then when I was writing this piece, I knew we'd be performing, opening the Jazz Festival last May, on the stage right in front of that church, St Anne's Church. And of course, that is so poignant in itself anyway, because, you know, the floral tribute there a few years ago now to the victims. It was like, so there's some heavy stuff and it's just such a fantastic city, and the spirit of the people, which is what I dedicated MANCUNITY. It was to the spirit of the people of Manchester. So when you do get some kind of adversity or something happening, it's the way that everyone rallies around, and it's what makes the city great for me. So I'm kind of still an adopted northerner, you know.
Yes.
But I've been here quite a while now, so it was a real privilege to get this commission, and then to spend quite a long time mulling this over. It wasn't right, here we go, let's write a piece. It's a 60-minute piece of music, and it's in different sections, and you know, there's one slow section called Never a Kinder Soul, and that was with my grandma in mind. You know, it's a reflection on certain little bits and bobs like that to do with Manchester.
So I mean, how did you go about translating that spirit into real music then, Andy? Did you use that spirit as just inspiration, or are there any more descriptive moments that we could listen out for, or anything like that?
Well, it's kind of it's abstract in some senses as well. So when you get a 1 hour piece of music, because that was a challenge in itself, the duration, it's how do you hold people there? How do you hopefully make it interesting? And featuring all the different musicians, which was the great thing about having that length of time, is with improvising musicians and jazz musicians, you can open things up and you say, right, let's have a guitar solo there, let's do this there, and so on. But at the same time, you can have some big sections where it's all fully notated. But for me, and I remember speaking about this new music nowadays, it's quite often, especially in sort of contemporary classical music, you know, a lot of time and effort goes into a piece of music, but then it might only be ever played once.
Yeah.
So this was part of the thinking behind creating a film. And then it was like, who's going to film this? And then I was chatting with Barney Cunningham and Third Man Productions, and Barney's done some great projects. In fact, the project with John Halliwell and myself with String Quartet, Barney's done some filming for that as well. And I said to him, listen, I don't have all this pinned down in my head. We've got the music now, but I want this. It's all about Manchester. And anyway, this is quite fortuitous. Just before the lockdown, we spent a day going round Manchester, just walking round and him filming. So now we have this film that is a mixture of the studio footage. We recorded it on the 4th and 5th of January. So you got your studio footage, and then I said to Barney, right, you edit it, give me a first draft and mix in the scenes from around the city. And the first draft was like pretty damn close anyway. He did a great job, and it's kind of nitty gritty, you know. We were around the Northern Quarter, Coast, New Islington. There wasn't time to go around everywhere, of course, because you get into a little bit of the detail that maybe you don't see when you're walking around all the time. But the poignancy now is we've got these scenes of like everyday life in Manchester, which is, I'll be interested to know what people think, you know, seeing all this. And so whilst the filming is abstract in one sense and it kind of backdrop for the music, it's taken on, I think, you know, a lot more significance.
Because the film we're about to see, it's a performance by the musicians all together in the same room playing, but it's not in front of an audience as the premiere was a year ago, is it? It's specially staged and specially filmed.
Yeah, that's right. Because I wanted the recording to be as you'd normally do in a recording studio. So Studio One at the Royal Northern College of Music, we recorded there. I asked Barney to come along and film it, and so we had or film some of it, and then we could sort of intersperse that. But I wanted to keep a live element to it as well, Steve, because there's sometimes with recordings, you know, everyone can record separately and you piece it together, and it takes months and months. And I just wanted us to play in the same room together and just play it. So, you know, there are little blemishes in it. There's this and that that's not quite tight, but there's sort of live element to it, I think. And I'm kind of referring to some of the amazing improvisers and musicians in the group who are playing. You know, there's unbelievable solos. So yeah, it was trying to keep that live element to it.
Yeah, and we've got all that to look forward to in the next hour or so of this. So what's the future for the piece, Andy? Any more plans after this? Where do you want to take it? Or
my main thing at the moment, Steve, was just to think, right, let's have this readily available for people to see. I didn't want it to be kind of a well-kept secret that relies on being played live. And obviously this was all before lockdown and what's happening now. So, and I'm just so grateful that you know, I got all these musicians. It's a real mix of musicians of you know, the youngest player in the band's about 20, the oldest is like over 70. And it just shows you how music just brings people together. And, you know, you've got Dave Hassel, you've got Aaron Wood on trumpet, doing some really interesting stuff with the electronics, Nick Svark on guitar, Gemma Fries, who did the MJF Hot House scheme, amazing young keyboard player, and Caitlin Lang, vocal, sax, flute. I don't want to go through the whole 12 people, and I'd love to, but there isn't time. And also it was brilliantly recorded by Rob Buckland as well. He did a really fantastic job, as Barney did. So I just think it's I just hope people like it. And to answer your question finally, I'm not thinking further ahead than this at the moment with this particular project. It was a kind of one-off, and I just hope people like it. And as I said, you know, there might be a poignancy about the whole seeing Manchester streets full of people and hearing music with it. That's that's how I felt about it when I was seeing it. So it'll be interesting if people feel the same way or not.
Andy, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, and it's that spirit that I think we're going to watch this, in which we're going to watch this film. And thanks so much for joining us, Andy, to kind of give us a little bit of insight into the piece, and for the next hour of wonderful music that you created for the festival and for the people of Manchester. So I think it's time for us both to raise a glass to MANCUNITY, the peace and the spirit. Here's to you. Here's to Manchester.
Sounds good. Hey, thanks, Steve. Thank you very much, and congratulations to the festival as well. This is wonderful 25 years.
Thank you.